Hi, it's Neil Angel. Just wanted to take a few minutes to run you through the process that I use to estimate Social Security benefits and strategies to maximize those benefits. So I've taken the liberty of inputting a sample couple here, the Does, John and Jane. His date of birth is January 1st of 1950, so he's 65. Hers is January 1st of 1952, so she is 63. In addition, it's important to know whether either of them have participated in a pension program whereby they opted out of paying into Social Security for a time. If that is the case, then they would be subject to something known as the windfall elimination period, whereby their Social Security benefits would be reduced corresponding to the amount of pension benefits for which they would be eligible. You may participate in a pension program either through the state or the federal government. In either case, it's important to know that. I will say, though, most of the folks that I have talked with who have participated at least in the state pension programs are still eligible to receive the full Social Security benefit. In addition, it's also important to know whether either of them has filed. Now, some of you may have already filed for benefits. There are still options available, and the software will track those down for you and identify the best option to you. But ideally, it's best that we have this conversation before you come in. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking about filing any time in the near future, let's have this conversation as soon as possible. In addition, we need to know several other pieces of important information. First of all, we need to know what is your primary insurance amount at your full retirement age. Now, for most people who were born before 1955, your primary insurance, or excuse me, your full retirement age will be 66. For those of you whose birthdays fall after 1955, then you will have a somewhat delayed full retirement age beginning at 2 months and extending all the way up to age 67, depending on how late you were born. But not to worry, the software will calculate that based on your date of birth. In this case, John's primary insurance amount, which he obtained through an estimator online with the Social Security Administration, is $2,500 a month, and Jane's is $1,450. Now, if you don't know your primary insurance amount, if you don't know the most recent figures, I can send you a worksheet to explain exactly how you can go about doing that. It's a very easy process. You can log into the SSA.gov website and obtain that in the matter of 5 or 10 minutes. The other thing that's important to know is how long each of them expect to live. If you come from a family with good genes and everyone lives to a ripe old age in their 80s and 90s, that's certainly going to be helpful to your cause. If, on the other hand, you have some sort of chronic health problems that may have shortened your life expectancy and you're planning on taking an early flight out, that's also important to know. The benefits will grow the longer you live. The other thing that the software wants to know is what is the opportunity cost of waiting a bit to take the benefits. And this is what's known as the discount rate. And really what they're asking is if you were to take the benefits at the earliest possible date and invest those benefits at a reasonable rate of return in what are considered safe money options, which today would be CDs or treasuries, what could you expect to receive? And in this case, we've set that at 1%. Now, I'm sure you can find other things that are more speculative that may give you a higher rate of return, but for our purposes, we're going to use a very conservative rate. In addition, Social Security comes with an inflation factor. Historically, Social Security benefits have grown to keep pace with inflation at an average of 2.75%. But we're going to set this back a little bit, again, to be a little more conservative, to under-promise and over-deliver. So, be that as it may, what has the software recommended? If they were to take their benefits at their earliest possible ages today, when they are ages 65 and 63, they could expect to receive somewhere between $1.5 and $1.6 million over the course of their lifetimes. However, if they follow the strategy represented in this square, marked by a star, their estimated benefits are going to be closer to $2 million. So the net difference here is $390,000 to $400,000. That's pretty significant. I don't know about you, but if I could pick up an extra $390,000 to $400,000 over the course of my lifetime, and it cost me nothing to do that, I would certainly want to know how to do that. But as Paul Harvey would say, there is a rest of the story. And this is also very important to the process. It's important to look not only at your potential Social Security benefits, but also to look at the big picture, and that's what we're going to do next. In the second pass, we're going to perform what's called a cash flow analysis. And what the software is going to do is basically take all of this information, again, to calculate the cost benefit of employing some sort of delaying strategy. So first of all, if John were to continue working up until age 66, what is his salary? Is he going to get any kind of bump before he retires? And is he going to work after retirement? A number of you have said that you're going to continue to work. You're bored playing golf and sitting at home, and so you're going to pick up at least a part-time job or something like that to pass the time. So that's also going to be helpful to understand. Again, we've already inputted the data regarding their Social Security benefits, but the other thing that's important to know here is what are they going to have to pay Uncle Sam for the privilege of using that money? And you have to ask yourself, given the fact that we're at historic low tax rates in this country, do you anticipate taxes going up in the future to pay for some of the profligate spending that our federal government has engaged upon? So if you think the answer might be yes, then you might want to increase that somewhat. If you think it's going to stay the same, well, then we'll just leave it where it is. But that's certainly going to be important to look to consider these strategies. In this case, what we've assumed, or we know that John is receiving a monthly pension of about $2,200. There is zero cost of living adjustment associated with that, so he'll also be receiving this same amount 25 years from now. And when he passes away, his widow will expect to receive 100% of that. And we're going to assume for a moment that neither of them have any assets to draw upon to supplement their retirement income. Everything that they're going to be receiving over the course of their retirement is going to be based on Social Security and this pension that John has through his work. So given that fact, the software is going to take a good hard look and determine whether the original strategy that they recommended would be the best option in this case. And as a matter of fact, the software came back and said, well, that might be good, but it bears a cost of some $72,000 if they were to employ that. So what the software is recommending is a more limited filing strategy that will still yield a net benefit, but not as high as the estimated $400,000 that we looked at earlier. So what would that benefit be? Well, let's see if we can take a look at the outcome here. And I'm going to print off this report. Alright, so we have a nice, neat looking report. What I'd like to show you now is the recommendation that the software actually came up with after looking at cash flow and compare that with filing at the earliest possible age. So if we scroll ahead, instead of a net benefit somewhere in the order of 1.976 or almost $2 million, we're looking at a net benefit of $1.8 million. So a little bit less in total benefits, but again, they're keeping looking at the big picture and looking at cost benefit. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show you here is a comparison in the benefits at the various ages. So this is the benefit they could expect to receive using the optimal strategy recommended by the software, and their combined benefit here when John is 70 and Jane is 68 would be roughly $51,000. If we scroll ahead, assuming they filed at the earliest possible date, their benefit would only be $47,000. So that's a difference of about $4,000. Not significant, but still enough to be worth finding. If you were to find that money under your sofa cushion, would you be happy to find that? I know I certainly would. But look again at age 80. Again, you're looking at $76,000, almost $78,000 versus an estimated $61,000 filing at the earliest possible age. So that's a pretty significant difference there. That's going to be $15,000 or $16,000 difference at that age. And then finally, what I wanted you to see was the difference in the survivor benefits, assuming that John passes away at 85. And in this case, Jane's benefit would be $49,000 because she would lose her benefit essentially, and she would keep his since he was the higher of the two benefits. $49,000 versus $46,000. So again, not terribly significant in terms of survivor benefits in this case, sometimes more so, but still nothing to sneeze at. So that's, in a nutshell, a review of the process. The only thing that separates John and Jane Doe from you is that they took action. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Call me.